Hi, friends. I'm Scott Giles, and welcome to Power Talk, my podcast here on Facebook Live and YouTube. I cover topics related to spirituality, hypnotic coaching, and the hypnotic arts and sciences generally. If you want to know more about my professional work, and I hope you do, or sign up for my free e-newsletter, Power Lines, check out my website, which I'll tag at the end of this video. Well, today I want to talk about the wisdom of using a teacher when you're trying to learn something new. Now, all of us have had teachers in our lives. We had grade school teachers, junior and high school teachers, professors and college teachers, and so on. But then for some reason, some people start to think they don't need teachers anymore, and that it's sort of a sign of weakness if they have them. And I couldn't disagree more. Now, I've always realized that when I do not know how to do something, it made sense to look for someone who did. When I was poor, I could not afford to hire people to train me, but I always could pay attention to what successful people in my environment were doing. And I learned. I watched them. Oh, I made mistakes. In one case, I assumed someone was far more successful than in fact he was. But what I learned by watching most people really helped me a lot. And so I didn't take, kind of personal satisfaction saying, I'm such a wonderful person, I've succeeded at all of this. I learned from people who taught me how to be successful. Later, when I trained in hypnotic work, I realized that there is a term for what I was doing. It's called modeling. That is, you identify someone who has a skill or an ability that you would like to learn, and then you pay careful attention and try to do the same sorts of things that you observe the other person doing. It doesn't always work, but it does work quite a bit. Now, as I grew in age, hopefully in wisdom and certainly in resources, I continued to reach out to the people I respected and was often very pleasantly surprised to learn that they were more than happy to help, provided I treated them with some respect, that their time is valuable and I would compensate them for their time. They did charge for their time, but it was always a fair price for what was given, and in many cases, I got back way more in terms of quality of information than I paid for. When I set out to open my professional practice, there was a ton of things I did not know. I happened upon a professional journal where there was an article by a woman who ran a coaching practice assisting helping professionals set up their practices. Her name was Lynn Grodsky. Her website, privatepracticesuccess.com. Highly recommend her. I liked the article. I learned she had written a book. I liked that too, and I became one of her clients. And she helped me enormously. Now, full disclosure, I do appear in one of her subsequent books as a success story, but I'll never be able to thank her enough for the sense she knocked into my head. You see, clergy types like me are trained to give away what we do. And when you work for a parish church or a religious corporation, you can do that because someone is paying you a salary. But when you go into community ministry, which is what my practice of medical hypnotism is considered, you don't have anyone paying you a salary. And it was a struggle to charge appropriately for my work. And Lynn got me to do that. She showed me I was undervaluing my work to the point where it was actually making my clients anxious because they knew that the exchange wasn't fair. They were getting more from me than they were paying me. And it was Lynn who helped me understand that. Now, once upon a time, I was a chef. 4 years as an apprentice and 5 as a journeyman. And I owe everything I know about cuisine, and I am a serious foodie today. Everything I know about cuisine came from a series of training chefs, including some who were absolutely insane people. But they taught me well, and I learned. And I'm a martial artist. I'm not bad, even at the age of 72 years of age, but I didn't get there on my own. I had a series of excellent martial arts masters who showed me the way. As I used to say to beginning students at the dojang where I was teaching after I became a black belt, and these students would often feel embarrassed that they couldn't just do a move, or the board wouldn't break, or they lost the sparring match. Hey, I would say, every one of the black belts you see here once had a white belt around their waist, just like you do now. We made every mistake you've made, but we got up and kept trying, and we paid attention and learned from those who were willing to teach. It's good to have teachers. In fact, in the upper levels of most professions, it's an honor to be known as the student of a famous teacher. I'm personally very proud of the people I studied with as I became a hypnotist. And yeah, they charged me a lot for the privilege at sitting at their feet and learning, but I'm glad I did it, and I owe my success to it. Now, in my own career, I've had my share of students that I've trained, and I'm immensely proud of them. Almost all have gone on to be successful. They put in the work, they learned, and they took me seriously. On the other hand, I've seen far too many people who get started and then quit when they realize it's not going to be easy. And I've met a few people who are just ridiculous about that, and it's sad. I recall one clown who left me a voicemail many years ago. Yeah, I want to do hypnosis like you do with doctors and hospitals and such. Send me an email telling me how to do that. And he went on to give me his email address. Well, I'm sorry, but I don't have time to write you a 4,000-page email. Some people are completely unreasonable in what they expect from others. You need a teacher. Find a good one. The teacher's probably not going to be for free because busy, successful people have learned to value their time. But you'll be glad that you did the work of learning from them. I've also met a few colleagues who seem embarrassed to acknowledge that they needed to be trained to learn something, as if it was a personal failing not to already know something. And that's silly. If you want to acquire a skill, there's no shame in needing a teacher. As the great Stoic philosophy Marcus Aurelius said when he was learning to read and write, the mastery of reading and writing requires a master. And he wasn't fooling about that. He would go on to become one of the greatest philosophers who ever lived and an emperor of ancient Rome. But he always gave credit to his teachers, especially a man named Rusticus. Mastery requires a master. And I am immensely grateful to those people I've been able to call master because they taught me a lot of what I know, and I owe them my success. Hey, thank you for your time and attention today. I'll be back next week with another talk on a different subject. You are invited to join me. It does help me if you let others know about my work and my videos, so please like, share, and subscribe. And if I can be of help to you, feel free to reach out through email, my website, or my Patreon channel. Have a great week.